Hi and welcome to Forbes India Beyond the Boardroom. This is Ushnota Paul, your host. This is a show where we have esteemed guests from all kind of fields, from successful businesses to films to sports, but we don't talk about their profession. We talk beyond that. How are they as people when they're not negotiating a multi-crore deal inside the boardroom or when the camera is off? We find out about their lives beyond that. We have one of India's youngest self-made billionaires. He's only 34 and he's the co-founder of one of India's largest retail brokerage firm, Zerodha. We have with us Nikhil Kamath, one half of the Kamath brothers. Nikhil started Zerodha along with his brother Nitin Kamath in 2010. So Nikhil, hi and welcome to Forbes India Beyond the Boardroom.
Hi June, how are you doing? Thank you for having me.
Nikhil, this year Zerodha actually entered the Unicorn Club. Congratulations on that. I'm sure in your regular interviews that you do, you speak all about your venture and your professional life. But today we're not going to talk about that. We want to know how you are like when you are not making these really important decisions inside the boardroom. How is a typical day in Nikhil Kamath's life like?
Sure, weekdays there is a routine which I stick to. I wake up at about 7 a.m. or 7:30. I go into the office at around 8, in between 8 and 8:30. The markets open at 9. Markets, investing, Zoom calls, meetings, all of that goes on through the evening. And about 7 or 8 p.m. I tend to go back home, and at home I do a workout at about 9 or 9:30 p.m. and then either read a book or watch TV and go to bed. I think Monday to Fridays are like that. Yeah.
What about the weekends? Do you go out? Do you like?
I do go out. Lesser today than say a year ago because of the pandemic. You can't really go out as much. Yeah, but I do have a lot of friends who come over and we have a drink or we watch a movie or something like that, typically over the weekends.
Right. Also, you've been playing chess since you were a kid and you eventually dropped out of school, I think at the age of 14 or 15, to play it full time on a national level. Tell us about this big passion of yours and how it all started.
So June, chess started early. When I was about 5 or 6, I first got onto chess. And you go from one level to another. You start with your school and then you play for your city and your state and nationally and stuff like that. It's a fun game. It's a long game. But I think what people often do with chess is they misconstrue being good at chess to being intelligent and stuff like that. I don't think it has anything to do with intelligence. It's more about memory, being able to recall every game that has been played historically, to read and learn a lot of theory about end games and openings and middle game. Chess is more about that, it's more memory, and it teaches you how to work within a structure and how to be creative within a certain set of rules, which is a lot like life. I think that's a good thing about chess.
So do you regret somewhere not following up on that passion, taking it up professionally? Why did you not?
Well, I tried, to be honest. I tried and I did it for a couple of years, but chess is a game where unless you're like the top 10 or the top 20 in the world, you can't really make too great a career out of it. It's seeing a resurgence again now after that Netflix show, what is that called? Queen's Gambit, which came out. I think a lot more people are getting back to chess. But I think I realized that I would never be good enough to be in that top 10 or 20. There were just people who were skilled at a different level and scale than I was, and probably wise to have given up when I did.
Do you regret somewhere dropping out of school? And also, at the same time, do you believe that learnings beyond school are more important than the ones that you learn inside the classroom?
I have to say that. I have to say that learnings outside of the school are more important. Also, because I didn't really go to college, so I don't have anything to compare it with. What I regret about dropping out early, less than what I might have learned and studied, is I think the fact that I missed out on the whole college experience in life. People often speak about it like it was the best time in their lives and they made the friendships which last them through their lifetime at that point. And I skipped all of that. That I think I regret. In terms of learning the syllabus that is taught in the college that I might have picked to go to, I think you can always counter that by reading on your own and getting that knowledge and information elsewhere. But the physical presence, being in that moment, is something I will always wonder how it must be, because people keep talking about what they did in college, who their friends were. That I miss. Yeah.
Of course. So, talking about reading, then what are the kind of books that you actually read on a daily basis?
I like creepy books. It makes absolutely no sense. For a long time, I read about finance and economics and all of that. But of late, last couple of years, I'm a big fan, I think, of history and psychology. So most of the focus has been there. Right now, I think how humans think is very similar. We all believe we are special and we are different, but innately under it all, I think we are very similar beings.
So, name some of your favorite books that you would want to recommend to the viewers, maybe?
Well, right now I'm reading this book called Denial of Death. It talks about how we all forget that we are, at the end of the day, mortal and we have a certain amount of time left. When your perspective changes from, typically we all are trying to accumulate more wealth, power, or people, whatever drives anybody, right? Like, it's a great book. I think it's one of those books that you actually have to savor and read slowly, because there are so many different concepts, all kind of like shoved into one single book.
Is there something you would suggest young entrepreneurs do? Something that you wish that probably you knew when you started out?
I think to pick an industry around its inflection point is very important. Often we focus too much time on the problem we are trying to solve, and we don't pay heed to the industry we are picking in which the problem exists. So I think definitely research the industry and call a long-term trend over, say, 5 or 10 years. Because if an industry is scaling, for you to get lucky and grow along with the industry becomes easy. Don't try to swim against the tide, because at the end of the day, you need for these odds to work in your favor for you to be able to get lucky. And pick the industry is very important. To pick the right industry and at the right time.
Nikhil, you are also an avid biker. What's your favorite bike, and how many do you have in your collection?
I just have one. I've only ever bought one bike. I haven't ridden it in maybe 3.5 years. I like the concept of biking. I thought I would be a biker, but a few rides down the line, riding on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m. for 3 hours to have a coffee and come back again for 3 hours did not seem to do anything for me. I think I'd much rather spend that time on a cycle, maybe a bicycle, and at least get the cardio and the calories burnt out of it. Just riding a bike does not do much for me. Also, I mean, we live in a country with not the best infrastructure for riding bikes, especially large bikes. You can't ride them fast. You go over a pothole, or a dog or a cow comes in the way. I didn't really enjoy the experience as much as I thought I might have.
Where did this love for collecting vintage watches and clocks come from? And what's the most precious one in your collection?
Watches, I think, at some level is rooted by the love for history. So most of these watch brands have been around for like hundreds of years, and they haven't really reinvented themselves, but they have stuck to tradition. These mechanical watchmakers, who must, for all logical purposes, have been irrelevant today, have become more coveted through this, 100-year period when we've all started looking at the time on our devices versus our wrist pieces.
Hmm.
That's fairly intriguing. Especially the older watches, some pieces I really like kind of like depict that time in our history. So, for example, I have a watch, say, from the 1960s when the whole space exploration thing was really taking off, and one of these guys wore the same watch onto the moon and all of that. Everything has a story, and it kind of reminds me of that story when I look at these vintage watches or wear them. I think there lies the appeal for me.
Wow. You also play a number of sports, I hear, football and basketball, table tennis.
Badminton has kind of become the new normal through the pandemic, because football is a bit hard to get 11 people to gather around, and so I play a lot more badminton today. I do play table tennis, some pool, some computer games with my colleagues at work, chess sometimes. So a lot of sport. I think on any given day there would be an hour of sport, like late in the night, one thing or another.
That's fantastic. So who's your favorite football player?
I like Barcelona.
Because you're a fan of Lionel Messi, or otherwise you support him?
Unnaturally. Otherwise as well. I think he's unnaturally gifted, like some of the stuff he does, I think it's very hard for other people to replicate. Him and Barcelona in that order.
So through these months of working from home, have you been able to nurture a hobby or cultivate a new one?
Not really. I have wasted inordinate amounts of time during the lockdown. Haven't really learned anything substantial. I did work out during the pandemic. I got a new trainer, so he helped with my posture a lot. For a long time, I kind of believed that I knew what I was doing when I worked out, and did not really have a trainer. But now I kind of recognize how much I was doing incorrectly. And the trainer, I think, has made a huge difference. His name is Zerodha, and he's a great trainer.
You also have two dogs, Calvin and Hobbes. So I'm guessing you're a big fan of comics, and especially this comic. So tell us a bit about your dogs, about Calvin and Hobbes.
We had a dog called Hobbes who was with us for about 11 years. And he was like genuinely one of the smartest dogs ever. He had emotions, and he understood when we were happy, unhappy, having a good day and a bad day. So after him, we got Calvin and Hobbes, who are just about a year and a half old now. They're quite stupid, honestly. They're not like the original Hobbes. So I don't have that connect with them as I had with the original Hobbes.
Nikhil, I have been stalking your Instagram a bit, and I see that you play the guitar and sing really well. Who are your favorite artists, and what do you enjoy playing the most in your guitar?
I think well is subjective. I don't think I'm very good, but I have like a lot of musicians around me. My mother herself is a Veena teacher, and she comes from a musical family. I like the whole country music, or a little bit of the bluesy kind of songs, maybe from the 90s and the 2000s. I think that's the typical genre. Not a big fan of modern day pop or hip hop. A lot of the music which is on the radio right now just seems to be about 2 or 3 things, and on repeat people keep singing about the same stuff. Older music resonates with me a bit more than new age music.
Right. Like you mentioned that your mother is also a Veena player. I heard that she actually used to teach Veena to your brother and you when you guys were kids. Do you still pursue that instrument? Do you pursue any other instrument apart from guitar?
Well, I think she tried to teach us. Neither of us had any kind of a talent for it, and it was a failed experiment. But Nitin's probably better. Nitin sings well, Nitin plays the guitar. I have a nephew, Kian, who plays the drums really well. Uh, we're all constantly learning and trying to be better.
Very musical oriented family. So, Nikhil, before we end this show, I would love it if you can play something for us.
Sure.
Few moments later.
Okay, here goes. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. There you go.
Thank you so much for joining us in the show, Nikhil. It was really nice talking to you.
Lovely catching up with you, and talk to you soon.